Welcome to Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. I'm your host, Jason Bland, and tonight we have guest David Oman. Some of you guys might be familiar with David Oman on Ghost Adventures. I know he was on Ghost Slippery, or was it Slippery? It was just Ghost Stories. He's been on a number of television shows, Ghost Hunters, seen the activity in his home. He's got his own YouTube channel where he's posted a lot of this activity. It's become infamous because people have associated a little bit with the Manson murders, which were in that general vicinity of the home. So it's got a little bit of that dark history attached to it, but there's much more going on there, and the activity and what's being documented. I love it when you can catch these things, especially EVPs, which David has definitely captured in his home, and maybe we'll get to play some of those here on the show tonight. And of course, what we do every Sunday night is the World Wide Web of Weird, so we'll be getting to that in just a second. And we will take phone calls into the show after the second half on our Skype lines and on our phone lines. All the lines will be open. All right, guys, we'll be with you in just one sec. Welcome to another night of Paranormal Soup, and as I said, I am your host, Jason Bland. We have a good guest tonight I cannot wait to talk to. I've wanted to get on the show for a while, is David Oman. Like I said, we've seen him on Ghost Adventures before. Remember, like, the little statue figurine on the shit counter getting fallen down and Zach Bagans freaking out? Yeah, if that might bring back some recollections. Zach easily freaks out, though. But it was still pretty amazing, so that's one of the things I want to talk with David tonight. Are you there with us, David? Oh, he might have stepped away. But we do have our lovely panel with us tonight, as usual, the Paranormal Soup team. We got Jamie with us tonight. How you doing tonight, Jamie?
Doing really good and really excited for tonight.
And there's David. David just hopped in here. Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
You got the Zach Bagans book collection there?
Well, I have a book that he wrote called I Am Haunted, but it's one book that's actually written up in it. Might as well bring this out so I can refute some crap quotes that he's made about me.
Oh yeah. He seems. I've had other guests on. Have not been so happy with Mr. Baggins himself. So you go ahead and tell us that. We'll definitely get into the night. And also join us, our video engineer Jeff. Of course, will be on the video for the World Wide Web of Weird. And all the way from St. Augustine, Florida, Rob Autry himself joining the Paranormal Soup team tonight. How you doing tonight, Rob?
Pretty good so far. How about you guys?
Doing great. Well, let's go ahead and roll into what we do every Sunday night. Is the World Wide Web of Weird. Tonight on the World Wide Web of Weird, I think we're going to start off something about UFOs. This is from Yahoo News. It's mystery aircraft confirmed flying over Oregon from November 16th by Kyle Mizakami. It's the guy who wrote the article. And for you guys, we are on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. For people listening on the network, we do play videos. We are a webcast on Facebook where you can watch and see some of the videos or pictures from the articles we play. But for people on Facebook, we do play out to Late Night in the Midlands. If you just want to listen to the show and you can't watch, just go to latenightintthemidlandsradionetwork.com, click on that, and you get to listen to the music you can't hear on Facebook. All right, first up, mystery aircraft confirmed flying over Oregon. Something flew over the West Coast in late October. That much we know. But the mystery plane disappeared before anyone could figure out what it was and has defied all attempts at identification since. Was it a classified U.S. government aircraft, or a flying saucer, or something else? The war zone reports that in the afternoon of October 25th, air traffic controllers started querying commercial airline pilots flying between Portland and Seattle, asking if they could help identify a mysterious object. The object in question didn't have a traffic collision avoidance system or transponder turned on, was not responding to radio communications, and most intriguingly could not be picked up on radar. And how did they know it was there? I guess people seeing it. Numerous pilots reported they saw the aircraft, but none came close enough to identify it. Ultimately, Oregon Air National Guard F-15 fighters from Portland International Airport were sent up to investigate but saw nothing. The Warzone article also cites 2 Reddit users familiar with the incident and who seem to corroborate much of what the air traffic controller audio has to say. The aircraft was near Crater Lake, Oregon, when an air traffic controller started asking nearby pilots about it. The aircraft was described as a white object flying north between 35,000 to 40,000 feet. At one point in the air traffic controller audio clip, one pilot says a mystery bird is 12 to 15 miles away, and distance from another aircraft ranged from 4 to 20 miles. Another pilot observing the craft estimates an airspeed of 370 knots or 425 miles an hour on the ground, also noting he's not getting a TCAS transponder signal. What was it? No video, no picture, but it's interesting that they were taking complete notice of this, even without a radar signal. Pilots were calling this thing in. You wonder if there's going to be some more witnesses or people coming out about this. All right, number 2 on the World Wide Web of Weird. This is kind of scary. This is from Unexplained Mysteries. Did radiation over Europe come from Russia? The unexplained cloud of ruthenium-106 particles was detected over Europe in September and October. According to French nuclear authorities, the radioactive cloud that was detected in several European countries earlier this year most likely came from a nuclear accident that occurred somewhere between Volga River and the Ural Mountains at the end of September. The detected concentrations of ruthenium-106 particles were not sufficient enough to be harmful to human health. However, the area around the site of the accident would have needed to be evacuated. According to IRSN Director Jean-Marc Perez, Russian authorities have denied any knowledge of the nuclear accident in their territory. Ruthenium-106 is used as a radiation source in cancer therapy for treatment of ocular tumors, said a spokesperson for Germany's Federal Office of Radiation Protection. So what happened to bring a big radiation cloud and nobody's owning up to it? Of course they wouldn't. I don't think they owned up on Chernobyl right away. All right, number 3 comes from the Daily Mail. Well, let's see here. This one is going to be, we talked about this guy before, and I guess they're getting closer to it. World's first human head transplant is successfully carried out on corpse. Now all he needs to do is try it on a live person. This world's first human head transplant has been carried out on a corpse in China, according to Italian professor Sergio Canaverio. During an 18-hour operation, experts demonstrated it's possible to successfully reconnect the spine, nerves, blood, and vessels of a severed head. A similar operation on a live human will take place imminently, the controversial professor claims. In May, scientists carried out a head transplant on a rat in practice on a run for a controversial human experiment. Researchers used 3 rats for each operation, a smaller rat to be the donor, and 2 large rats acting as the recipient and the blood supply. Professor Carvalho, director of the Turin Advanced Neuromodulation Group, made the announcement at a press conference in Vienna this morning. The procedure was carried out by a team led by Dr. Zipeng Ren, who last year grafted a head onto a body of a monkey. Full report of the Harbin Medical University team procedure and time frame for the live transplant are expected within the next few days. The first time he was going to try to do this, if I remember right, the country he was going to do it and kicked him out. Said, no, you're not going to do it. He had to go somewhere else. He had to get a whole different patient. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can see for somebody who has a body that's failing them and there's a donor maybe, but I don't know. It to me feels like we're really pushing the limits there quite a bit. I don't know. I don't know if I'd want it done if I was in that situation. I don't know. All right, this one's been pretty viral. This is from Express.co.uk. Moon hoax does not stagehand reflect in astronaut's visor prove it was filmed in a studio. 1,000 people have viewed the video uploaded on channel StreetCap 1, which is entitled "Does Astronaut Visor Reflection Show a Stagehand on the Apollo Fake Moon Set?" On the 48th anniversary of Neil Armstrong's first steps on the lunar surface took place in July, but many conspiracy theorists across the globe remain convinced it was the biggest cover-up of all time. I'm not one of them. I'm not saying there was something hokey about some of the stuff they did on the moon or whatever, you know. And I definitely think there's some definitely unanswered questions and cover-ups going on. But I think we went, and I saw Michael Vera on the host of Late Night in the Midlands cover this on his show not long ago. And he thought it was odd. I don't. To me, I look at this picture. Yeah, it's grainy, it's blurry, but the way the legs look, the boots, to me, it looks like it could be an astronaut, just a reflection. And I think how they can say that's a stagehand for sure. It's so blurry. It's so hard to tell. I think they're really reaching on that one. To me, it's an astronaut in the reflection. Yeah. You know, I mean, I'm interested by the theories. Did we fake the moon landing and all that stuff? And did Stanley Kubrick direct it? But, some of these ones they come out with, they're just like, no, I don't think so. Okay, number 5 on World Wide Web of Weird, another one from Daily Mail, of course. This one has been going on for a while, and I tried to reach out to this guy to see if I could get him on the show. Haven't heard anything back. I know somebody else was having him on their show recently. I'm being haunted by a demon child. New York man shares spooky photos of ghostly little boy who claims visits him in the middle of the night. Some of you guys might be familiar with this. I'm not going to read the whole article. A flat owner claiming to be haunted by a ghost he calls Dear David has shared images of what he says is a demonic child staring at him in his bedroom. Adam Ellis of New York says he's haunted by the ghost of a dead child who's trying to kill him. The demon child apparently began appearing to him in dreams with a misshapen, shrunken head coming to him whenever he fell asleep. This guy's been posting this stuff on Twitter. He's a cartoonist. And he first posted a picture of this kid, and I might have that picture in there. I don't know if I do, Jeff, of the cartoon picture he drew of what he said. This is what the kid looks like. And now he's come out with these photos. Jeff's looking for a picture of what he says he took of this child. And, yeah, there's the picture he drew. And then the picture, and the drawing, yeah, pretty close. But the guy's a graphic artist. And if you go back to Jeff, go back to one of the first pictures there, too. I mean, some of this, it's very distorted. But there's the picture over here on the left. You see on the screen, you see the way the head is. There just seems, I mean, Todd, our resident a-hole that we have on the show, has been, he's been really he does want to be on the show. He's got stuff going on where he can't. He's a photography guy. I'd love to get his input on this. But it just seems like there's some shenanigans going on in these photos, like some manipulation here. And why are they so blurry and distorted?
Exactly. I call shenanigans.
And maybe I'm wrong. I mean, maybe this guy does really have something going on. But, I don't know. If I woke up to a demon child wanting to eat me or whatever, I'd be gone. I mean, I know it's hard to find a good rent in New York, but come on. It's creepy. These pictures are creepy. I'll give them that. I wouldn't be living there if that was the truth.
Kids got to eat,
Oh, I don't know. I know it's been interesting. I've been following it just to see what's going on with this guy, but I don't know. I'm still not totally convinced. All right, this kind of scares the crap out of me. FDA approves pill with digital tracking device you can swallow. All right, so this comes from CNN, a criminal news network here. A psychiatric medication system in the form of a pill with a built-in digital tracking device gained approval from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration on Monday. Ability MySite, a form of appraisal and a first-of-kind product, has an embedded ingestible sensors that records when a medication is taken. Made by a Japan-based Osaka pharmaceutical company, the medication system is intended to treat schizophrenia, bipolar disorders, and depression in adults. Amplify without sensor technology was first approved to treat schizophrenia in 2002. Schizophrenia is a psychiatric disorder, includes symptoms of delusions and hallucinations. Bipolar patients may experience alternative. Yeah, we know all that. What scares me, I get the idea of it. They want to be able to say, these patients are especially severely, bipolar or schizophrenic. They can give them medication and know, hey, wait, they didn't take it. It will let them know, hey, they didn't take their medication, which that could be a good thing, especially with patients that you're trying to give a rope of freedom to, that are having mental problems they cannot control. That can stop them from taking their medication. So I get it, but it also scares me when they talk about, forcing people on drugs. They maybe aren't that crazy. I don't trust the drug companies, so my conspiracy mind is like, no, I don't like that idea. I just fear and loathing of picturing a society where they are forcing drugs on us, and hope you didn't take your medication today. We know.
Turning us all into zombies, and after a while, just
Oh, they don't need that. They got cell phones
and
for
they
that.
can hit us with a frickin' blow dart.
I guess.
All
right.
Thing you forgot to mention, once you take the pill, in 12 hours, you're going to crap it out. So there goes your tracking device.
Well,
And
no,
tracking gets
the way it
out.
works. The way it works is it's something that it notifies them at a certain time, because the tracking device dissolves and sounds out the signal as it dissolves in the stomach from that reaction. So it's gone. So they know if you didn't take it, because they don't get that signal. It said, boom, it's dissolved or whatever.
So is this like a Wi-Fi thing? I mean, is this being like updated through Wi-Fi somehow?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, yeah, hell no.
Right. Good intentions. They pave a road to a certain place. I don't know. Okay, and then
Baby, George Orwell.
right, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like this would be a nightmare, George Orwell. This would be great for that society. They did have everybody in a drug stupor, and you didn't take your meds today, sir. Yes, we hear you talking about watching Alex Jones, and yeah, it's time to take your meds.
That's right.
All right, last up, I've been seeing all these dang posts about this is a little bit concerning our show tonight, but I've been seeing all these dang posts about Charles Manson's dead. Like that, like
You've been seeing. Look, what do you think? Who do you think you're talking to?
I know, but
It goes, what the f are you talking about?
I know
He's
there's
had
like
5 days. Every day he's died.
I know they titled the articles like Charles Manson's dead, and then you open the article, Charles Manson is in critical condition at cell phone. Well, that's not dead. For one. And then the Sun just released an article, just so you guys know, solid as a rock. Charles Manson says he's in good health and tape prison phone call to pal before being taken to the hospital. So he has a friend that I don't know how that calls him, and he has a lot of friends, I don't know how, who says that last time he talked to him said he was in good health, and that this is just he's been going through a number of procedures.
Jason?
Yeah.
I need to interrupt you for a moment. I'm getting messages that David's sound is pretty muffled, and people are having a very hard time hearing him.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Is that better? Should I talk louder?
Ask him if that's better.
Shit. Sorry.
That's all right.
Sorry. I break something now. Just knocked it over. Is that better?
Did they hear him now?
Can you hear me now?
I'm asking them now.
Here, hold on to my-
Digital delay. If not, we can. I hate to do it. I love having you on video, but we might have to switch to the phone. It's the only thing I can think of.
Can we do both?
Yeah, I can call you on the phone number if we have to do the phone.
How about phone and video?
Yeah, I could do that. Keep you on and keep you muted. I don't know how delayed that might be.
Is it better if I yell?
I don't want to have to make you yell the whole show.
Well, I can talk loudly.
I hear you fine.
My voice.
Hey, Perry, Rob, hit me up. Let me know if you can hear him any better
Yeah,
right quick.
they're saying he's still muffled.
Muffled?
Yeah.
Is that better? Okay.
Hitting it never usually works for me.
Oh, that always works for me. Bonzi style.
Well, let's go
Am I
to
still
commercial.
muffled?
Yeah, I think it's just the way it's coming through because of the way it is in the room, and it's a direct mic. No, they're
I've
all.
never had a problem before with it. I'm still muffled, huh?
Yeah, saying you're still muffled. Let me go to commercial break,
Like
and
the camera, you know.
if you want to try to hop back on while we're on the commercial break, we can try that.
Yeah, I can try a different camera.
Might have a better mic on it. Well, let's go ahead. We'll go to the commercial break so we can. Otherwise, I can call you on the phone. We can at least people can hear you that way, if anything. Just might want to mute yourself while you're doing it. All right, guys. Yeah, hopefully we'll get them back. If not, we'll get them on the phone. We're going to go to a commercial break here now. For like I said, people on Facebook, you can't hear the music. But when we come back, hopefully we'll have our guest, David Oman. We're talking about the house at the end of the drive and about the weird experiences he's having there. And either by video or by phone, we will have our guest on. All right, guys, be back with you in just a few minutes. All right, tonight's guest is David Oman. You've seen him on Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters. His house is a plethora of haunted activity he has been documenting since he's lived there. And, of course, it's gotten some infamy being just down the road from the Manson murders. It's gotten some little connection, but there's so much more going on in this haunted location. So let's go ahead and get to our guest.
By the way, how's that?
So say the audio sounds good. I heard you come through. Sounds better, I think. Go ahead and keep
Is
talking.
it better? Is it good?
Yes,
It's
to me,
nice.
it sounds way better to me.
Well, find out from your listeners. It counts more than.
Let's see. I'm waiting for the Tolls and Peas people on the Facebook comment on the chat, or even on Late Night in the Midlands if you are hearing our guest, David.
Yeah, please.
I think you sound way better than you did before, so I think we're good.
Sounds a lot better to me.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
So, David, tell us, how did this all start for you? The Oman house, the house at the end of the drive. You know, where did this all begin for you?
Are we talking first about the house, or are we talking about the movie?
Well, the house. I mean, the
The
experience
house.
itself.
Yeah, let's start from obviously where it started from. Late November, about 19 years ago, in 1998, my father called me up on a Sunday morning about 8 in the morning, and says, "David, I found a lot." It's like, "Dad, it's 8 in the morning." He goes, "Come on, get your ass up." I'm like, I'm not going to get rid of him. Let's listen to him. So he says, "Look, there's a lot in Beverly Hills. It's a foreclosure." I'm like, "All right," because it's down the street from your godfather's house up in Benedict Canyon. I'm like, "Okay, tell me more." He goes, "It's $40,000. And all of a sudden,
Wow.
it's like, I said, what is that? My first response was, "Yeah, it's a misprint, Dad. It's probably $400,000, not $40,000. Come on." And he goes, "No, it says 40." I said, "All right, fine, go on." I said, "Was it a vertical slope?" I said, "Come on, you got to be kidding me. Was it a 2-foot square section of land? And it goes straight down a slope." He goes, "No. We'll find. Let's find out." I said, "All right, I'm already awake. God damn it, fine. All right." So I get up, and he gives me the address. He says it's up Cielo Drive, and I'm thinking, doesn't register at the time. I get up there, and I look around, and I get to look at the end of the street, and I go, "That's where the Shantae murders took place." And he hasn't gotten there. I'm by myself, and I'm looking down there, and I'm thinking, I haven't been here in years. I said, that was like high school. We used to come up here and hang out and check out the Tate House, because that was the thing to do. And I'm sitting there, and he drives up, gets out of the car, and he says, "Well, there it is. There's the lot." I looked and I go, "Yeah, all right, so the hillside lot." And I said, "But I see things on top of it, like steel rebar across the sides and going down the slope." And I said, "Am I to understand that they've been trying to build this house and somebody got stopped?" He goes, "Something like that." He goes, "Because I see the rebar as well." And I said, "Okay." I said, "This is crazy." And I said, "Yeah, by the way, Dad, that's where the Tate murders took place, at the end of the street." And he goes, who gives a rat's ass?
Yeah, watch them.
You want me to? I won't curse. But it's just like one. He goes, "We're here to look at this lot." I'm like, "Okay, fine." He goes, "Well," I said, "if it is $40,000, I want to understand why it's $40,000 and what's in foreclosure. Why there's caissons underneath. You don't just throw down rebar. The only reason you would throw down rebar on the side of the hill is because you would first drilled the holes, which are caissons for the layperson, are about 3-foot diameter holes. And they're drilled into the earth, depending upon how deep they have to go, anywhere from 10 to 20 to 30 to 40 feet. And what you do is you basically drill into bedrock, a good portion deep into it, to secure your anchor, which is what they are. You then pour concrete, and in the middle of the concrete, you put down reinforced steel rebar, which is basically about inch diameter, the half-inch, three-quarter-inch diameter steel that is just basically, you build a framework, a cage, a square cage that goes down the entire length of the hole. And you reinforce that. It's called reinforced steel rebar going into the reinforced caisson, which is your anchor. Well, there are 13 of those on the property, we found out. and that's what the rebar is then attached to. Well, that in itself is about $100,000 worth of expenditure to drill the holes, to pour the caissons, to put the to put the rebar on there, and then still put the rebar on top of the land to connect it all. It's like going, how the hell do you get $140,000 for this land? Alone should be $400,000, and yet $100,000 worth of improvements, and it's still $40,000. Literally 10% of its total, maybe 8% of its total value.
It's amazing.
And he goes, I don't know. I go, there's something fishy about this, Pops. I said, and he goes, well, I'm going to go look into it. I said, yeah, well, let's do, so 3 months later, come January, we ended up purchasing the lot in January of 1999. And we got all the clearance with the city and found out that it was a typographical clerical error that caused the previous owner to have his construction interrupted in the middle of construction and halted by the city. And that's how it is that I live here. So everybody who says, oh, you're just a devoted fan of Sharon Tate, or you were just buying it to exploit Sharon Tate's murders.
No, it's $40,000 worth of land that are worth $400,000.
I got $500,000 worth of value for a penny on that.
Right.
For $40,000, I got the land and I got the improvements with the caissons. And it's like, no, I didn't have any of this planned out when I bought the lot. Really? Come on. I got lucky. It was a pure, I hate to say, set of certain circumstances that unfolded that allowed me to be here. And the fact that my father was a builder, he had built several homes on hillside lots. And as he said, I prefer, he's passed away now 5 years now, but as he said, I prefer to buy lots that are problematic. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, everybody gets turned off by them. So that right there puts me in the running. I said, what do you mean? He goes, less competition drives the price way down on the piece of real estate. And I said, and then it allows my creativity to kind of unfold and say, these are the circumstances within which and parameters within which you have to build this structure. And he says, I loved it. I said, really? He goes, yeah, because it gave me freedom to say, okay, you've given me a set of circumstances within which this is what the confines within which you have to operate. And I took advantage of it. And I said, thinking of all the houses that he built through the years, and he did. The first house that I remember going to as a kid was a house he built in 1954 that was a duplex up, and ironically enough, literally, it's about 150 feet down the street from where Charles Manson went the night that he went to kill the La Biancas on Los Feliz, on a street called Robo Vista. And when they went to Robo Vista, you can read it in Helter Skelter, Manson describes he drives down the street to the end of the cul-de-sac, and there were 2 dogs and 2 German shepherds behind the gates barking. So they decided to then forego that location and drive up. Well, that duplex that I was talking about that my dad built was literally 150 feet up the cul-de-sac from where it was that they went. And they still owned it in 1969 when the murders went down, and that was their property up until 1990, maybe 2004, they finally sold it. So after owning it for about 50 years. But the point is that it was literally a mountain. It was just like the slope of a mountain going up, and it kind of plateaued off at the top. And my dad built this house that literally, this duplex that had stairs that went like this till you got up to the top level where it was, and it was on top of the flat portion. It was about 40 feet up. And it was like, oh my God. And then the house he built on Sierra Mar, which is off of Sunset Boulevard, it was a narrow lot, but literally the slope was almost at about a 50-degree angle. And it was a long lot.
Challenge.
It was 110 feet. It probably went out about 3 feet and then went to this incline. And he built a 4,000 square foot house on the exact length of the property. Wow. And built it out 25 feet as far as he could and built it straight down. It was 3 levels, and it was an incredible house. And I remember that as a kid when he was building, it was like going, wow. Again, the lot, it was something he had for years that he bought for pennies, because who the hell in 1954 wanted to buy a piece of real estate which had a slope like this? Nobody. So he got it for cheap, and eventually 25 years later, 1980 something, he decided to build this house. And it was amazing. So this to him was a piece of cake. He says, I can build this. And because we have all the improvements. So we built the house. And 3 3/4 years later, we came in here. And during the construction, I knew immediately that there was crazy stuff. Just
Really?
not normal things. I mean, I've been on job sites before, and that he had worked on my sister's house and other properties as a kid. And it was like, all right, I'm on the first floor that we're building. You remember, here's your slope, and here you have to start with your first floor is the third level. And I remember walking around the first level when the floors were finally down, and just being like, I'm not alone. Just like, Jose, what? No, Jose there. What the hell is this? And it was just like that feeling that you weren't alone. Just you could feel and tell that it was a weird sensation of just not uncomfortableness, but just like uncertainty that was like, okay, there's something strange. And then the laborers started saying, hey, David, did you take the hammer from, finally when we had all the floors up, they said, we were still doing the framing on the exterior walls. He said, did you have the hammer from the third floor? It's like, so what? Why? I've got my own hammer. I know how to hammer. I've got my own hammer and tools. B, why would I not ask you if I was going to take it? And if I took it, why wouldn't I put it back where you left it? Because I know how it is that you guys need your tools. And I said no. And he goes, well, my tool, Hector's tool, and George's tool are all, the different tools are missing. And we now found them all together. It's like one. Don't look at me. I have nothing to do with that job. And then about 6 months before we were done, when we started doing the finishing parts of the house, putting in the marble and putting in the specialty stuff, the faucets and the fixtures, and getting it painted and finished. When these guys were all done, basically 6 months before we did the finishing, I said to the guys, hey, you guys have been here for about 2 years plus. Have you guys had any weird experiences in the past while you've been on the job here? And one guy goes, yeah. He goes, about 6 months ago in the middle of summer, July, I'm here by myself. It's about 6 p.m. Everybody else is gone, and I'm doing some finishing up work because I want to get it done for the weekend. I don't want it hanging. He said, okay. He says, and I'm downstairs, and I hear voices and footsteps coming from the top floor. He goes, and it's about 90 degrees. I said, yeah, summer, July, it gets really hot. He goes, no, it was hot. He goes, yeah, I remember that. He says, so I go upstairs looking for you and your father. I said, Senor Paul, David. He says, there's nobody there. Looks at the whole entire top floor, goes and looks out on the front of the driveway and says, the driveway was empty. I said, I know, I've been here at 6 o'clock to check on the house to see what's going on, because we didn't have a fence in front of the construction site or anything like that. It was a pretty obscure location, so we figured, we're pretty safe. And he goes, yeah, there was nobody out there. He said, okay. He goes, so I go back downstairs. I figured I'm hearing voices coming from the neighbor's house down below. At the time we were building, it was Richard Anderson, the famous Richard Anderson of the $6 Million Man, Oscar Goldman. And Richard's voice, this is the funniest thing about this house. It's almost, it suffers from what I call the amphitheater effect. That because we live in between two canyons, there's a side, and this side, and in the middle is the bottom is where these houses are, that people that are down at the bottom can talk, and you can hear their voice clear as a bell. And he says, I thought it must have been one of the neighbors. So he goes back downstairs and starts working. 5 minutes later, voices and footsteps from the top floor. So he runs upstairs with a hammer in hand. He goes looking around. Said, okay, who's goofing on me? Who's here? Who's messing with me? Nothing. Goes to the second floor, looks around. Nothing. So that's it. He goes to the third, back downstairs, and starts packing his bags. And all of a sudden, he says, I start hearing the sounds of footsteps coming down the staircase. Oh. And the staircase at the time was just basically 2 by 12 planks of solid wood that were on the railings. No carpet or anything like that. And he says, all of a sudden, I hear these footsteps coming down the staircase. And they're getting louder and louder, getting louder. So they finally got to the bottom, and they stopped. And at the time when we were building the house, up until about 5 years ago, the bottom of the staircase consisted of nothing more than a 12-foot high ceiling that led into the theater room. And it was wide open. So he says, I ran out from the other room, like 10 feet out to the door, to look, and I said, I see nothing. There's no one there. It's all wide open. There wasn't even glass in the windows at the time. He goes, and all of a sudden, he says he feels this ice cold breeze. And he described it as like a 2-inch wide piece of ice almost coming across the back of his neck, right below his hairline and right above his shoulder blades. And he says it just was ice cold. He goes, the hair in his body just stood straight up, and he screamed, "Ados míos, yeah, my boy," which translated from Spanish means, oh my God, I'm leaving. And he didn't come back for 6 weeks. And I'm thinking to myself as he's telling me this story, saying, wait a second. 6 months, maybe. That's when you told the guys you were in San Salvador taking care of your sick mom who was in Elsa, who was sick, and you were, and I'm waiting for you to come back. And every gosh darn day going into this, I'm going, when's he going to be back? I said, I want to get the gosh darn tiles in the master bathroom done. He's done every goddamn room that needs the freaking tiles done, but the master bathroom. I said, after 3 weeks, I said, this is holding this up. I said, I want this done. I want to get this thing wrapped up. And I didn't realize that just because you get the tiles in doesn't mean that you're done with the house. There's so much more. And we hadn't even picked out the granite and the other stuff that was going on to finish stuff. So I'm like, the impatience that I exhibited in the long run was the most foolish, because this is what I did. I ended up saying, well, son of a bitch isn't going to I'll do it myself. I said, I've seen him do it 1,000 times. What is it? He takes the gosh darn the tile, he takes the
sounded like a good idea at the time.
Splat, smooths it out, puts it down, and 2 seconds later he's getting to the next tile. And at the time, I'm thinking to myself, it looks so easy. I didn't realize that what he does before with the natural tile and with the, that you got to take it and you got to lay it out, you got to figure out the pattern. And I forgot that when he did it before in other parts of the house where we had the natural stone, that he said, he goes, how do you like the pattern? I go, yeah, let's move this one here. He goes, yeah, that's what I want to keep this flow. Oh, no, not this son of a bitch. I go and I just grab tile 1, tile 2, tile 3, out of the box, haphazard. First of all, I didn't realize how difficult it was to get the right amount of grout on the tile, so when you hit the gosh darn concrete board, that you have the same height from one to the next. So on some of them, they're a little, I'm just trying to push them down. And of course, they're supposed to be spaced in between the gosh darn tile, where you put grout, a different color than gray concrete mastic. So I'm pushing down, and up comes the gosh darn gray concrete mastic. I'm like, oh no, that's not supposed to be there. So I'm continuously trying to rip it out, take the stuff out, trying to readjust and push down. As I'm doing one, the other one's going up. I'm going, oh shit. It looks like just a disoriented mess. Some of the tiles are closer, some of them like this. So when you take a mop, you get this little unevenness with the buckles, and you get the dirt that builds up in between the grout, and you go, oh my God. And the patterns, like one's going this way, one's going this way. It's like, wouldn't it have been better to get them all going this direction so you get a nice pattern and a flow and this? It's like, no, I didn't do that. So to this very day, if people question the veracity of the story, I say, really? You don't believe me? Take a look through the bathrooms of the house. Dude, you're right. Look pretty good. It's like, now let's go into the master bathroom. See my handiwork? Do you see any difference? He goes, oh my God, the story's real. Oh my God, the story's real. And they go, I feel sorry for you. It's like, you feel sorry for me? You feel sorry for me? I feel sorry for me, because my impatience that led me to this disaster that to this day is like, you don't believe the story? Come here. I would do this. Who would do this to a house that's, worth $1 million plus? And it's like, oh yeah, that's the way to sink your ship. And they go in your bathroom going, this is the master bathroom. Write down notes. Redo tile in master bathroom. All sought. I mean, it's just like people go, did you not think that this was all, would you think it was all white tile that had no patterns? Like, yeah, I didn't really think about it.
So what was your reaction what was your reaction when he told you that he didn't come because he was scared?
Oh, I was like, and goes, I said, so why did you come back anyways? He goes, because I forgot that the prior 3 weeks, I didn't get paid. So I had to come back for that. He goes, but after that, he goes, I never stayed past He goes, at the end of the day, I was the first person. When somebody started to get packed, I got out, and I got out before they did. So I was the first one off the site every time after that. It's like, oh, God. But like I said, if people don't believe my story, they can go take a look for themselves because it's right there in flesh and blood, and my sweat's in it too. So in any event, so that was when I found out that it was like my confirmation of there was stuff going on. I was like, yeah, all right, that's it. Because look, the guy's 24 years old. He doesn't know anything about Sharon Tate's murders. It's not like this is common knowledge and I'm sitting there going, hey guys, down the streets where Sharon Tate was killed. It's nothing like that. So the fact that he was a perfect test subject and didn't know, and he was from another country, the whole point is it works, to verify the veracity of his story and the veracity of what I've got. It makes sense. You go, wow, that's pretty interesting. He's a perfect test subject. So
when you moved in, how quickly did it? Well, get a little echo. How quickly did it start for you? I mean, weird, odd things happening.
Well, God, I remember vividly. It was September. It was August 30th that I moved in, and I mean, I was like, it was the day we got the approval. It was like, that's it. I'm in. I'm just packing my stuff up. So when we got up here, it was me and I think it was me and a Latin laborer that unpacked the stuff in the house. And he said, he looked and he says, he felt stuff. He just got this weird feeling. I said, because I already knew that there was stuff going on. So I asked him, he goes, yeah, it's got some, he goes, I just feel a little like this. He goes like this a few times, going like this, going. And he said, "That's otra persona aquí." I said, "Wait a minute, which translates from Spanish." He goes, "There are people." And I go, "See," and he said, "Yes." I go, "No." He goes, so I mean, and I don't really talk about that story too much because I really, like I said, there's so many things that have happened in this house over the past 15 years I've lived here, and with all the TV shows and stuff, I don't tell all the stories because there's not enough time in most shows, but this is like one of the first times I'm, reporting this online, so to speak, because I'm writing a book about my experiences and I'm going through all the different stories that I've accumulated and looking back, 15 years ago and saying, that's right. When I moved in, the guy that I hired basically said, yeah, there's somebody else here. And I'll never forget it, now that I've gone through all these things, and it was like, okay. And then about a couple of weeks after I moved in, not even, Sebastian, my Rhodesian Ridgeback, started acting a little funny. And funny by the fact that he would start growling and barking at the front door. He wouldn't do this unless there was somebody there. And he did it a few times when right before people came up, right before they rang the doorbell or knocked, he was immediately on it. But there were a few times when it started bellowing, like, brr, brr. And I go look at the front door, and I look out the people. There'd be nobody there. I open the door, and there's the hell are you going nuts over? And Ridgebacks don't bark unless there's a threat to their home or territory. So when it started happening repeatedly, I was like, okay. And I started calling out, I said, spirits, you're driving the fucking dog nuts.
Watch, no F-bombs, no F-bombs.
I was like, could you guys just lay off the dog? I mean, I played around with it because I said, okay, this is happening too many times that it's not normal. It's not a bird. It's not a chipmunk or a squirrel or whatever going up to the front door. And my other dog, who was a mix, who was really sensitive, Stella, she sat there and her ears would come up like a German Shepherd's, and she'd go like staring at stuff and like tracking stuff, and I go, what do you see, Stella? And it was like this. Her eyes would get big, and she'd start tracking stuff. Sebastian wasn't around, so it wasn't like I'd get both of them doing the dual head action. But there were some times when she would start barking and growling, and it was like going. And then he would start barking and growling at the same spot, and it wasn't the front door. And I'm like going, they see something that we do not see, and I can't explain it. And then my cats, of course, started chasing things. And it was like, okay, if it's one cat, that's fine. But I had 4 cats. And if there was more than one in the same proximity to the other, it would be both of the cats going after the same object I couldn't see. And I knew that there was something because I would be in the kitchen and I'd hear the cats, one cat running down the stairs and the other cat chasing along with it. And it wasn't like one was going and the other was after it. It was like they were both after something in unison. And and it's like, going, what the fuck? And I'd be in the office and you'd hear them running around the house chasing stuff. And I'd be like watching for them. And I'd go out the hallway and I'd watch. And it wasn't one chasing the other, but the two of them were chasing something.
Yeah, animals are always the first clue, first indicator, like the canary. You know, they're going to let you know something's different about this place.
It's true. I mean, then I verified this on one occasion because I had a squirrel that got in the house.
Oh, wow.
And it was the funniest thing because I had Stella the dog and I had Tess the cat, and they were both going after. So I know exactly the behavior of them, as you say, in action with a live animal in a predatory sense. And they both were doing the same exact behavior that they did with these objects that I couldn't see. And with like I said, they cornered it in my bedroom. It was under one of the end tables next to the bed, and I didn't realize what it was. I thought it was a ghost. I knew something was going on. And I go and I look into the gosh darn room, and I got the cat and the dog out of the room because the other dog was upstairs and didn't give a rat's ass to sleep. The other three cats were sleeping. And I pull the gosh darn the end table back, and I look and straight up into my eyes, and looking back, and there's these two little beady black eyes, and I'm like, "Oh Jesus Christ!" And as I said that, it looked up at me. It jumped up, ran across the bed. The door was a crack. The dog had pushed the door open. It was a crack. The thing shot down the staircase, in tow with the dog and the cat, chasing the creature. It went through the door that was down, the curtain downstairs. The dog and the cat got held up in the curtain. It went into the earthen wall room and ran down and through this hole that it had taken with the screen and moved it over and to the outside vent, and I basically closed it out. And that was the last time we had any rodents in here. But the activity that the dog and the cat did was identical to what they had done with these objects. So I said, they're chasing something that they've got in their vision that I can't see at all, and they're honing in on it. And there's a famous video on my YouTube channel called Tess Has to Deal with Some Ghosts. And that was the same cat. She comes out of my office, goes into the hall, and at the time we had a infrared standard def camera at the end of the hall on the crossbeam of the stairwell, shooting down the hallway. She trots out. She sits her ass down, and she's watching these objects, tracking them, go all around. And people say, "Oh, it's dust." And it's like, certainly doesn't look like dust if the cat's tracking the objects.
The cat's not going to see that.
Oh, yeah. And the furthest thing is somebody says, "Oh, it's a flashlight." It's like, the cat was good with flashlights and was going to chase it if it was a flashlight, a laser light, or a bug. She's just like this watching them, and then she walks in the hall a few feet, sits down and starts watching them again. It's like totally tracking them. Then just goes down the end of the hall, and that's it. Excuse me. But that's the kind of stuff that we've captured here with the interaction with the cat and the paranormal activity. And like I said, I have videos of stuff in this house that since I've installed the cameras, as you can see, that one right there. Where is it? There it is.
Yeah, I see it.
You know, a few years ago, that we've gotten video and audio stuff that's just crazy. I mean, the funniest one was a few weeks ago. I was in here doing some karaoke work before the investigation, and I'm here and I'm saying, "Oh, yada yada yada," you know, this about the paranormal activity. I'm saying, "Oh," I said, the machine didn't start recording. And in the background on this camera, you hear this word say "effing pricks."
Yeah, we got that one. Actually, that's one of the ones I pulled. I think we.
Oh, that's a doozy.
All right, go ahead and play it. I said let him play it here. We'll talk about it. Because I saw this one you posted just recently. I thought it was pretty cool. I love EVPs, man. To me, they're the best evidence. I love them. All right.
Well, I like EVPs that are not manufactured with a Frank's box and whatever you want to call the device. Because, like I said, this was just me screwing around, and this camera's literally, say, 4 feet away from me, and it captured this voice, and I'm in the house by myself, and it says, "effing pricks." And I'm like, my first response I'm reviewing, because I'm trying to listen to my voice on the gosh darn camera, And I'm like, what you didn't see in this video is this, who are you talking about? I'm alone, so I can only be an epic prick. So who are they that you're speaking about?
They wanted to get in on the karaoke. I don't know. All right, Jeff.
I don't know. I'm just curious as to who they're talking about. Yeah, September 23rd. My God, it's 2 months ago. Yeah,
Yeah,
roll
go
it.
ahead.
Roll it. I'll show.
Yeah, that's all right. Go ahead and play it, Jeff.
So I have to do it again?
Oh, yeah, I heard it right there. For people listening to Late Night in the Midlands, we're seeing security cam footage of his office here, and you hear it. It's very faint, and yes, it's probably breaking the LM rules by it saying a foul word there, but it's really faint. It's hard to hear, but you do hear. I hear it, and it's definitely an EVP. You can definitely tell what it's saying.
I can hear
I
it.
saw that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, tell them to go to the YouTube channel. They can see it on my
Yeah.
YouTube channel. It's
That's what I was
great.
just going to say.
Do it again?
Yeah, that's pretty clear.
Yeah.
Oh, it's clear. And I apologize for that that black part. I had to obscure something because it was a product. And my friend said, if you have that on there, because they might go product wide, might go after you because you're exposing their product in a paranormal sense because you don't want to have somebody come after. It's like, just blur it out. So I blotted that whole area
I
out.
get that. But I love EVPs like that, and you're just not even, expecting that to happen. You're just doing your normal thing. You're not doing a paranormal investigation, and they're coming through. And to me, we play around with spirit boxes. We do that once a month on the show. But on investigations, my number one, go-to for evidence, the thing I love the most are EVPs that just come out of nowhere. There's no app, there's no nothing. It just shows up on the audio. And, you go to his YouTube channel, guys. Just type in David Oman on YouTube. You'll find his channel. He's got so many videos of evidence and EVPs. And to me, that's like Christmas. I see that on somebody's channel, and they got evidence. I love EVPs. I'm addicted. Everybody knows it about me. So, yeah, when I saw this one recently, I'm like, okay, yeah, we got to play that. That's awesome. I love that.
A really funny EVP is the one that was during the Poltergeist DVD Blu-ray release party that we had here for Sony and Paramount. They did their event here, and James Oster with Darrow in the Head and JoVo.com was here, and he's doing an interview, and there's two EVPs that he captures here, and both are from this little girl. The first is that he's in the third level guest bedroom, which you might be familiar with, except they literally transformed the room into a little girl's room. Now, I don't have kids, but I've been to enough friends of mine whose houses who do, and I did have a sister, so I'm familiar with what a little girl's room looks like. They turned the room into a little girl's room to a T. They took out all the furniture. They brought in a small little girl's kid's bed, a single bed. They brought in the furniture. They brought in the big 4-foot tall stuffed teddy bear. They brought in the little dining room, little teacup set and a table and chairs for a little girl to have a tea party at. They brought in a hamper and little girl's clothes and put some of the clothes on the bed and made it look like she was just going to be getting that. There's her outfit to go to school and get dressed in for the morning. It was uncanny, and I mean, I walked in and I said, "Who the hell's house am I in? This isn't my house. This doesn't feel like my house." I was like shell-shocked. I go, "Oh, this is cracked." Now, so Jimmy's in there in the first part of the night, and he's talking, and in the background, you can hear this little girl giggle, and it's uncanny. And she goes, and it's just like right in the background. And I'll play, if you want, I can play it for you off the clip that I have. And then later in the evening, he's in there, and he's saying, "I've been to David's house many times, and strange things have happened to me here." And almost on cue, the little girl goes, "Here's one."
Oh, jeez.
Now,
Kids' voices are way more creepier, too, when it comes to EVPs. I don't know. They just creep me out more than a normal, like a person's
Oh, yeah.
EVP.
But you gotta remember, the youngest person here that they had here was 19 years old. And these were all, there was like 50 bloggers and, YouTube influencers and social media influencers. And it was just like, there's no one here that's under the age of who the hell was that? And at the time that he shot that the clip I just mentioned, there were four of us. It was myself, James, his videographer, and his photographer, all men, all above the age of 30 years old. And we don't have little girl voices. And it wasn't us, and you can hear it. So if you want, I can find that clip and basically load it up, and I can play.
Yeah, go ahead if you think you can.
Yeah, I'll do that because it's crackers, as I like to say. It kicked my rear end around the block when I heard it. I go, oh my God! I said, that's unreal.
Give me a look at the Joe Blood.
Let me get this. Here we go.
David Owen's house. He lives on Cielo Drive, where some very, very terrible things happened in 1969. But tonight, we're celebrating the release of the DVD Blu-ray of Poltergeist. That's been happening on.
Right there.
That's been happening on.
Wow.
Hear that little girl's
Yeah.
voice?
That's been happening all night.
Right there.
That's been happening all night. A lot of weird.
Hold on, I'm gonna try to get
That's
that.
been happening all. That's been happening all night.
All right, now that's the first TV. People will go, making her statement. Now I'm going to go to this one right here. I'm sorry, I'll bring that.
Experiences about fear. About fear.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely hear it.
Someone just come in. Someone just come in.
That's one.
Someone just come in. I've always had some very weird, creepy experiences. About fear. I've always had about fear.
Oh, that's a little girl's voice for sure.
Oh, undoubtedly. That's the craziest thing, is like I said. And it's in response to what Jimmy's saying. Here's one.
Definitely a little girl's voice.
Yeah, and what she's saying is, here's one. Because in direct response to what Jimmy's saying, here's one. Crazy. Just, to me, that's one of the craziest things I've ever, experienced in my life. I mean, that's just...
They like to break haunted houses down to, are they residual or are they intelligent hauntings? And definitely when you get responses like that, especially in a house that's been built, you built it. I mean, everything indicates, I don't know what your opinion is, that this is something intelligent there, that it knows and sees what you're doing, and it's not something residual.
I have some commentary about those that come up with these theories. Nothing is written in stone.
Oh, yeah.
The idea that people come up with these things that when you die, you're going to be wearing the same outfit for the rest of your eternal life. Says who? Not according to what I've seen, not according to what I've experienced firsthand in 15 years. I don't know anybody else that's done that much. I mean, there's been people that have done research in the field and such, but every single one of those theories is pretty much got a lot of holes to it, or let us just say inconsistencies. Because if it was consistent, we'd call it a science.
Exactly.
And we've proven it multiple times over and over. So I hear all these, and I've read them since I was a kid about poltergeists, and then it was later on. I mean, we're talking about stuff from the 1930s and the 1920s that were written about, what a poltergeist is. All a poltergeist means is a noisy ghost. All of a sudden, because of freaking movies and television and dramas and fear, we created this thing that's like, there's a poltergeist. It's like, guess what? Every ghost is a poltergeist. Every poltergeist is a ghost. Meaning that we attribute, just because a ghost does something like, maybe they do this. Oh my God, it's a poltergeist. He moved this object. What the hell are we coming to in the theory that it's just like, why isn't it a spirit just trying to get your attention? Because he can't vocalize. He has to do something to move an object to get your attention. Why must it be demonic? I mean, we cast aspersions on so many different things about the paranormal, and I laugh, and I listen, and I watch, and I see people come through my house, and I go, help me, God help me, because these people are just, And you know who's the worst of all is Mr. Zach.
I knew it was
couldn't give
coming.
a rat's ass Baggins. That guy's just tool central. He's a tool.
Well, David,
He's
the first
going-
time I ever saw you, I saw you, in the episode where you're on is when the statue figure, you had this like statue on a ledge, whatever, that falls down. Zach,
The
just,
little
yeah.
Beetlejuice.
I'm like, Zach
The
like
figure
flips
is the-
out. He
yeah.
like flips out. I'm like, dude, come on. I mean, like you should like be like, oh wow, like turn, maybe go, oh, show maybe a little surprise, but don't flip out. Don't like lose it. And I it's been a while since I saw the episode, but he went kind of a little overboard. Even for Zach, I thought for a statue falling over.
If you should dissect that scenario or that scene, let's go through it. They were here. They started their investigation. They were here for 4 days, and it was the first day was interviews. Second day was going through the house and shooting some B-roll. The third day was doing the reenactments. The fourth day was the investigation. So Zach only came here on the very fourth day. That's when I met him, which was a Thursday. I think it was September 3rd or 4th, 2013, 4 years ago now. And I've been watching these shows, not just his show, but other shows, getting curious and always intrigued by them since Ghost Hunters and going back years earlier to something called In Search Of by Leonard Nimoy.
Oh, I love that show.
So, I've always been curious, and one thing I've seen on all of these shows is the camera's like it is now, it's on me. Where the camera should be focused upon is am I watching? What am I going to react
exactly.
to? Not my reactions, but what am I seeing? I don't give a rat's ass if I was like, did you hear that? Did you somebody out there? What do I give a fuck? Did you see that? No, the audience got to see you, not them, and what the hell you're looking at.
Oh, I agree 100%. 100%.
Or what cracks me up is Aaron will say something like, "Tell me your name, where are we?" It'll say like Gettysburg. Then he's like, "Oh! Gettysburg!" It's like, dude.
Yeah. Through the spirit boxes, what really kills me is they use that gosh a little tiny little speaker, and they got the spirit box, and it's like, God, in this house, I abhor people using those devices for one simple reason. I like to take the most skeptical point of view when it comes to the paranormal. So because of this, no matter what I think, I have to contend with those people who do not believe in the paranormal and say, you know something, they have some credits and some valid points that have to be examined. And when you talk about an intermediary device that you can now program and that's scanning the frequencies of AM, FM, all the different things they call white noise, I said, all right, fine. But in this house, I have recorded EVPs even on my telephone answering machine. I once recorded an EVP coming in. That wasn't, it was like my friend and I were talking, and when he hung up the phone, the phone was still on before I hung it up, and there's a voice that said hello, and it wasn't him because his phone wouldn't click, and this phone was still on. I've gotten so many EVPs recorded from electronic devices, little digital recorders, that I'm bored with them for two reasons again. Go to a skeptical point of view. Okay, you've got an EVP on this little digital recorder. How do I know that somebody didn't do this and start whispering into it? I want to see a visual of what's being done that's being recorded so I can corroborate this to a visual so I know that somebody wasn't Mickey Mousing around.
Or they're not clicking their walkies like right when they're getting the spikes. All it takes is you to have your phone, your internet on, getting texts come in.
Oh yeah, don't get me started on K2 meters.
Click, click, click your walkie, and you're going to get all sorts of false spikes.
False positives, I call them.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I hate that stuff. So I prefer like the simple things. 35 millimeter camera, if it's a disposable, fine. But the one I have is a simple little Instamatic. You put a piece of film in there, roll of film in there, you snap a picture, you have to manually advance it, no double exposures, using 800 speed film. The REM pod I love because it's basically a proximity beacon. It can't really be fooled and toyed with without physically touching and manipulating it, and you can't really do that. Compasses also work nice in the house because we've seen them flip around and spin around. But like I said, for when it comes to the EVPs, I've got so many on these closed circuit cameras like that effing Pricks one from 2 months ago. We're not talking about having to worry about this. And, and when I've done this with a little recorder, I've actually got videos of, Chris Fleming here 4 years ago doing an EVP session. And I said, Chris, if we're going to do EVP sessions, I want you to do them this way. Just take your recorder. We're going to have Matt videotape the whole interaction, do his question, give it 30 seconds or so, stop, play it back so we don't have to go through 5 minutes of listening to and waiting for something to pop up. And a 30-second answer to your response is what we're looking for. Let's keep it short and sweet. And we've got videos that are done right real time where he does his question. It's all done live. He plays it back, and you can hear the EVP right there, fresh. That's the way I like it if I'm going to do anything on a digital. Otherwise, I want to have it done with the video cameras because I've got an EVP on a digital audio recorder in my third level guest bedroom on my birthday last year. That's also recorded on 2 closed circuit cameras, one in the room and one in the room next door. And you can hear it clear as a bell where the guy says, hello, what are you doing in my bedroom?
Ooh, that's creepy.
That's like I go, and at first I'm like, who the hell do you think you are? This is your bedroom. It's not your bedroom. I'm thinking, maybe he's trying to tell me what are you doing in my bedroom, and why aren't you upstairs at David's birthday party instead of looking for ghosts downstairs in the third level? How rude of you. I mean, that's how I think of it. I think of these spirits as kind of like friends in a way that they're like, how rude of you. He's having a birthday party, and you're downstairs playing around? How dare you? That's wrong. So that's how I kind of treat the spirit, so to speak, with the activity here.
Well, we're going to go to our last and second commercial break, and we'll take phone calls in after that. So just remember, guys, you won't hear the music on Late Night or on Facebook. You can only hear it on Late Night in the Midlands. And when we come back, I'll give out the Skype lines and the phone number we can call in if you got questions for David. And we'll be back with you in just a couple minutes. Tonight's guest is David Oman. Some of you guys are familiar with him on Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters. He's been on a number of television shows, and he's been documenting his evidence. You can go check. I urge you to go check out his YouTube channel. Just type in David Oman on YouTube, and you will find his channel. Lots of evidence. We've showed a couple things tonight. Might show a couple more. But he's been documenting these strange occurrences happening in his home. A home he built, with his father. No previous history, as far as I know. We will get into that. A lot's been said on TV shows, and I know David probably has a lot to say to clarify, the actual history of that land too. So we'll get into that, and then we're going to have the phone lines into the show. You can call in a couple ways. You can call in on the Skype line. There's a Soup live chat 800 live chat Skype ID, or the J Bland 00 Skype ID. Call in either one of those, or you can call in by phone at 219-230-4444. That's 219-230-4444. All right, let's get back to our guest. Still there with us, David?
I would hope so.
Now, one of the things I was wondering too is, they made out like on Ghost Adventures that the land was Indian burial ground, and that. What is the truth?
You mean this schmuck?
That schmuck? Yeah, that guy.
Want me to read you what I think about this? Should I read you what he said about me in this book?
Oh,
First
my
of all,
God.
let me go straight and let me back. The story goes as this. Lisa Williams came here 10 years ago or so after I was on Ghost Hunters, with Jason Hawes and Grant. And I got this email saying, hi, this is Lisa Williams. I saw you on Ghost Hunters. I'd really love to see your house. And at the time, Lisa Williams, I don't know if you guys are familiar, she's the short, small English psychic that she used to have a TV show called the Lisa Williams Experience or something
Slightly
on
remember
those
her.
lines.
Yeah.
She would go out to locations. She would do readings with different people, etc. She's more of a psychic. Let's leave it at that. So, goddamn lines. So Lisa came here to the house. And I said, "Yeah, I'd be happy to have you come over and see the house." And she goes, "Oh, I'd love to. I really would." She comes in, and I'll never forget. She gets to the top of the stairs, going down to the living room, the step down, and she looks over to her right and into the barn. She goes, "Do you know you have a big party in your bar?" And I started to squint and look over there going, I don't, I'm like going, I don't see anything. What the? And she goes, "Oh, there's Jay and there's Sharon and there's Rudolph Valentino, whose house is across the canyon or was across the canyon at the time." And she goes, "And there's some Native Americans and some other people." And I'm thinking, she goes, "that I don't recognize." And I'm going, all right, I get the idea of Sharon, Jay, and Rudolph Valentino. Native Americans? What are you talking about? She goes, "Yes." And she goes, "And they want me to tell you that they really appreciate your allowing them to stay here." And I'm like,
When did that happen?
and I'm like, well, so far as letting them stay here, I didn't, to me, it's like, look, I thought to myself, look, if they're dead, and I said to her this, I said, "Look, I only know about Sharon Jay and the rest of the victims at the end of the street because I've done some research and I've seen photographs of how they died." And I said, as far as they're concerned, I said, "I know only how terrible their death was." I said, "I don't want to be an ass and add insult to injury and kind of like crap on their spirits by saying, 'Get the hell out of here.'" I said, "I feel for them." I said, "If I died that way, or a tragic death and horrific death like that, and I'm stuck on the earth, why do I need somebody to add insult to injury, so to speak?" And I said, I would feel terrible if somebody did that to me. So I said, I couldn't do that to them. I said, as far as the rest of them are concerned, I don't know who you're referring to, but I said, that's okay. I said, it doesn't bother me in the slightest. And she said, "Well, that's why what they mean, because you have such an open, appreciative. They really appreciate you having the openness and allowing them to stay here." It's like one, oh, I said, "Look," I said, "eventually I'm going to die." I said, "What am I going to do? I'm going to sit there and get on the other side. And they're going to say, hey, look who's here. It's that son of a bitch, David Oman. You remember the guy kicked us out of the house? He had all that space. Oh, yeah. I'm going to spend eternity getting my ass kicked around left, right, and center, and the hereafter." It's like, yeah, I'm going to wear that like the scarlet letter around my neck. So I said, "Lisa," I said, "I just couldn't do that." And she goes, "Well, that's why they told me to tell you that." And I'm like, cool, I appreciate that. And I remember vividly saying, well, I said, better to have friends on both sides of the planes of existence. I said, "I'm welcome in both sides." I said, "That's fine by me, nothing wrong with that." And she laughed and she goes, "They really find you so funny too." And I'm like, what? I mean, I think of things in a different perspective. And I think that's what really is something that I've learned in my lifetime here, is that I've come to realize there's 3 different approaches to any situation, and that also stems from dealing with the paranormal. And that's from what I've seen these 3 different basic approaches: the dumb approach, the frightened approach, and the curious approach. And here are my 3 quote unquote examples of each approach. The dumb approach: you come upon an object. Let's say it's this, and you don't know what it is. You don't know if it's dangerous or whatever, but you come up to you and you go, "Okay, what is this?" You don't know if it could electrocute you, but you just go up and start futzing it. And you're still there, "Okay, what is it?" You're banging it. "I don't know what the hell this is." It could have been $2 million worth of information that was on this, but you destroyed it because you're dumb. Approach number 2, the frightened approach. Oh my God. What is this? What is this? What is this thing? I've never seen this before. Give me a hammer, quick! I don't know what it is. I'm scared to death of it. Here, if I beat it to death and I destroy it, maybe then I'll have something. I'll actually conquer my irrational response to this, and I'll be able to all right. And here's the curious approach. Whoa, what the hell is this? Never seen this before. But before I go poking at this, let me see something. Is it live? Well, if it's live, if it's got power, I shouldn't be touching with that. There's something that won't. All right. All right, it doesn't have power. All right, I'll touch it. Let me see if I can. All right, it's not hot. It's not cold. It's temperate. All right. Oh, here you go. WD 1.0 TB. SATA 6. Oh, it's a hard drive. Cool. All right. That makes sense. Those are the three different approaches when it comes to the spirits. Ixnay. It's all over. Like I said, that's what I've learned. If you approach it from a sense of perception and your point of view changes from fear to curiosity, you don't allow yourself to run down a path of irrational response. And from a rational response, you can't hold yourself calm and deal with it rationally and make calm decisions. You've lost it. You've thrown calmness out, and in exchange, you've become irrational, and you can't process what's occurring at the moment in a sensible fashion. So instead, you run away. And here's something to that effect about running away. If ghosts are real, where the hell are you going to run?
Right.
What do you? Ghosts can't be put into a box. You can't. No matter how much you want to believe in Ghostbusters, you can't put them in a box. You can't encase them. You can't. You can't hide kryptonite in a box of lead to protect yourself from a ghost. It doesn't work. If a ghost is real, which I believe they are, they're energy. They can follow you to the ends of the earth, to the bottom of the ocean. Hold on one second on that note. Oh, Jesus Christ. Hold on a second. Hey, Rob, I'm on a radio show. What's going on?
Inside workings of
Is
David.
it on the news? I'm getting news that Charles Manson died. From
Did he?
What are your sources?
Hold on, I gotta check that.
TMZ, they said Charles Manson died. That's pretty reliable.
Yeah, TMZ was reporting that he was in the hospital earlier.
A minute ago, it said TMZ breaking news story: Charles Manson's dead. God, I haven't gotten any information from the spirit world here. You'd think I would, though, right?
Maybe you will.
Think you'd hear a big rumble and a thunderous cloud of applause.
Yeah, I got it right here. TMZ.com. Charles Manson dead at 83. It just posted
Yes.
like 6 minutes ago.
Oh. So you guys are going to come over then? Is that it?
He's already got people waiting to come over.
All right, well, let me tell you when I'm off the road, off the show then, and we'll talk. All right, bye. Sorry about that, everybody. Just
I was wondering if we're going to get that update.
News. And as we were live on the air, you didn't hear any kind of crash and burn or kind of like sounds that the spirits were like, oh, God.
Let's throw a party.
Yeah,
You know?
I mean, you would expect something like that.
But yeah, they got TMZ said man who masterminded one of the most heinous murder sprees in American history is dead, according to the sisters of his famous victim. Deborah Tate tells TMZ she received a call from the prison telling her Manson died at 8:13 p.m. Sunday.
Oh, wow. That's an hour and a half ago then.
Depending on what time zone, but yeah.
Ago.
Probably PS Pacific time, I don't know.
Yeah, PS is Pacific Standard.
Yeah.
I'll have to look through the cameras on the house and see if there was anything that occurred at that moment. Just curious to see if anything's going on. Let me do this. Let me go check the cameras in the house upstairs at 8:13. Let's see anything. Oh, one of the figurines got knocked over. I don't know exactly when. This could be interesting. I'm just curious if the figurine got knocked over. I'm going to dial it up on the
Dude, if it happened at that time, that would be crazy.
Exactly. That's what I'm going to go for right now. I'm going to search it out. I'm going to dial in the time, and I will know. Oh, my son of a bitch.
You're kidding.
No, wait. 8:13. Let's see. Did it get knocked over at 8:13?
I go back to that article.
At 8:13, nothing.
Okay.
So it was not. It got knocked. Oh well. Wait a second. I'll tell you in 2 shakes of the lamb's tail. There's something at 9:18. 9:18.
Yeah, this is TMZ. They could have it wrong too, you know. So we'll see what they say when it officially comes out when he really actually died. They say 8:13 p.m. and the listing for the posted of this date is under Pacific Standard Time. So if they're sticking to that, then it'd be.
Well, 10 minutes ago, the figurine got knocked over. If you guys want, I'll turn the camera on. You can actually see the incident live.
Let me get it up
Yeah,
on a big screen.
What the hell? Let me just first of all.
Yeah, I had this feeling too. Like I read that article at the end about Charles Manson and that, and I had this feeling that maybe during the show he was going to end up croaking. You know, so I was like, wow, that'd be weird. Just perfect timing having you on, and then he would pass away.
All right, here's the camera.
By the way, Beetlejuice, ever since I was a kid, is one of my favorite. If I was stranded on a desert island, top 5 movies I would take with me.
I hope this is right framing for you guys.
Yeah, I can see the shelf and the figurines, yeah.
Yeah, that's actually the top of my aquarium.
That's right, I forgot. It's been a long time since I've seen the episode.
That's the shelf, and you can
Oh,
see
there's Beetlejuice right there. That's the one that knocked over when Zach was there, right?
Right, that's the one on that one right there.
It says he died November 18, 2017.
That would have been
That was
Saturday.
yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
According to
So he
yesterday, I
died
was tracking
last
and he was
night.
still alive. Yeah. Well, according to TMZ, he died just a little while ago.
Right.
Was he like on a life support type thing and then they finally pulled a plug?
That was the rumors. That was the rumors that he was in the hospital. His one friend said, no, he's fine. But that was the whole article, if you read it, that was from like a month ago that he talked to him in September. So
Yeah, well.
Yeah, that's the news for you. You know, Tom Petty died like 17 times before he actually did.
I know. So it's like, you don't know. Like I said, there's a ton of articles saying Charles Manson died. Is Jeff still there? Speaking of we do have one of the videos of from your channel, of the figures getting knocked down. People haven't seen it before. If Jeff's around to pull that up, you can play that.
Jeff should still be there. Are you listening, Jeff?
He might be. There he goes. Yep, he's got it.
I don't have my walkie-talkie.
And on his YouTube channel, he's got a number of these videos. This is just one of them.
They were the funniest one that we were back to Mr. Zach that we're speaking about. You can see the smoking man on the extreme right. What happened is that he's here and I'm talking to them and the bigger Beetlejuice figurine gets knocked over. They send me out of the house. And they're in the dark, and Nick and Zach are standing about 10, 12 feet away in the doorway between the living room and the den. And the scoop is this. The figurine gets knocked over. They don't hear it. There's about 12 seconds later that they get a message on the walkie-talkie from Jay Wasley in the van to Nick and Zach. And he says that, hey, guys, did you see the figurine got knocked over? And Nick goes, which figurine? He goes, the smoking man. And Zach goes, it did.
Exactly.
And the irony is it happened, they got notified 12 seconds after the fact. They didn't hear it at the moment it happened. They didn't see it because they're in the dark. But the fact that he overreacted the way he did after the moment it occurred, and Nick is just like, it did? It makes no sense.
No, like I said, it's what I remembered from it was his total overreaction to it. I'm like, dude, how long have you been doing this? You've had stuff moved. You've had a brick thrown at you. You know, seriously, like, chill out. We do have a phone call on the line. This is Zach. He's always got really great questions. Try to keep them quick, Zach. Like, one question. I know you always have a lot of them.
Sure, man. Sure, not a problem. Hey, David, it's very nice. Very nice to meet you, man. All right.
What's your first name?
All right. I just have
right.
I just have one question. It's in current relation to what's been transpiring lately in regards to Charlie Manson. My question to you, David, is up to now, have you seen a spike in paranormal activity after news broke out about Charlie Manson's deteriorating health?
Honestly, over the past couple of days, since it's been notified to the public, no. Honestly, not. And I would have thought that it would have, commonplace, thinking would have been, yeah, you would have seen a spike, but it's like, I think it's the same thing that happens around the anniversary. People are like all jacked up, oh, can we come to your house for the anniversary? And I'm like, I've recorded it for 15 years now, and I've seen an absolute diminishment of activity around the actual anniversary. Because again, what are they going to be doing? Celebrating their passing? It's not a happy time for them. And I've seen in the past 15 years that there's a spike a few days before the anniversary, and then it goes down during the anniversary itself, and then it goes up a little bit more after the anniversary, and then it goes back to normal. But no, nothing. Like I said, I would have thought with the figurines, I've been keeping an eye on them, going, when all the figurines get knocked over, I'm going to go look and make sure that that's the time that I record it. And that's probably when he died. As we just saw, the most notable piece of activity in this house is the figurines. I didn't hear any sounds. I didn't hear any explosions. I didn't hear any laughter or screaming or anything out of the ordinary the whole night tonight. And I've been on the radio the whole time. If he did die at 8:13, we were on the radio. So we would have heard something. And I've heard absolutely nothing that's out of the ordinary here.
Yeah.
I've always been intrigued by the architecture of your house just in general, even despite, the tragic occurrences down the street. I've always been drawn to, it's almost like a brownstone style, the way you have the levels that go up. And the fact that you go down to the basement and you're actually aren't you cut into some of the mountainside, the earth inside the basement?
Yeah. I was going to say I could bring you up a picture of what it looked like during construction here at the house, as a matter of fact. Yeah, I mean, the house is built on the side of a hill, so if you can imagine, the slope of the hill goes like this, and each level goes across. And we don't really touch the actual mountain at all. It's all been left totally normal, so it's still retaining its original integrity. The house next door, they went like this. They cut straight down 60 feet and eviscerated the entire mountain and removed that whole chunk of mountainside, and then went and built a flat concrete pad and built a retaining wall up across this and basically built on a flat pad. So what it is that there's 3 levels. There's actually a 4th level that's unbuilt in the house underneath the 3rd level. And what it is when you go into the 3rd level, there's your bedroom, there's your theater room right next to it. And what it is there's an access point to the, I guess you'd say behind the bathroom of the guest bedroom is this, what we call the earthen wall room, which is where the exposed earth is still there.
Okay.
And that's what you're speaking of. And yeah, it's,
I've always felt your house in general, not quite maybe a portal, but just the elements, houses I've seen with your type of design, the way that the energy seems to be able to circle up, it's almost like it can start manifesting from the earth part, and it just flows through the house. And I've always thought that because of that tragic events too, and the architecture of that house, it was just like the perfect combination for something.
Oh, I want to let Zach go here really quick. Thanks, Zach, for calling in, man.
Yeah, thanks, Zach.
All right, thank you for letting me call in, Jason. Have a good night, everybody.
All right, you too,
You
bud.
do the same.
Have a happy Thanksgiving, too.
Damn right on that one.
You too, man.
But yeah, you wonder, building it the way your father did too. They always talk about, I know in Asia and that they talk about the way houses are built. Sometimes it offends the spirits and the elemental forces, the feng shui or whatever. I don't know that stuff well at all. You ever wonder though if that ever played any part of it, the way the house is built or anything, of like it just makes it more energetic for the spirits? Or
honestly, I think that what Barry Taff had said, the infamous Barry Taff, as we all know, said is that the house sits in a geomagnetic anomaly, and it basically radiates out from this area, the mountain. And as he said, it was probably pre-volcanic, meaning there's a volcano or a volcanic tube or a flume, a lake underneath the mountain here. And as the magma is moving across the lake underneath the earth, it's discharging an electromagnetic field. And just so happens that the house, the way that my father designed it and the structural engineer designed it, had incorporated his design and had to add the structural components to make it sound and worthy of earthquake proofness, that there's 4 steel I-beams that run across two steel I-beams run across the width of the property, holding and supporting the 3rd floor. And then there's another 2 steel I-beams supporting the 2nd floor, which are connected to 3 steel columns embedded in the gray beam, which is the reinforced concrete that makes the foundation, connected to the 13 caissons going 30 feet into the earth.
I've always felt it was actually a good flow for energy, where like the house we're in now, it's like an energy trap. You have these weird angled doorways, doors that don't open right, hallways that just end in weird areas. It's got the worst flow here. And with yours, it always just felt like this perfect flow of energy that could just go through.
That's interesting that you say that, because it's a very open, open type of a setup. The top floor is just completely open. There's no real main walls through it. It's pretty open from the kitchen into the dining room, into the living room, into the den. Excuse me. But what also he's got is it's a 30-foot wrought iron spiral staircase that acts also as a gigantic coil. And what we've seen is the magnetic fields in the house are off.
Wrought iron is something too.
Yeah. We do have another caller. We do have another caller on the line here. Who we got on the phone line? Hello.
It's Chandra.
Hey, Chandra. How you doing tonight?
I'm all right. Okay, hey, here's my thing about the Charles Manson supposedly dying. I live in Bakersfield. He was at the hospital here in Bakersfield. There is nothing locally on our news at all. You know they'd be all over that.
You would think.
Yeah,
There's
you would.
nothing on any of our news pages. There's nothing on any of our news pages, just TMZ. And it's over an hour ago, there's no way that they would have been reporting that.
You would think, though. I just don't believe that.
Right?
Either. That's not. No.
I mean, TMZ's been right about stuff, but they've been wrong too. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, I know this is like the second time in the last couple months he's been in the hospital here. And the first time they were trying to say he was dead too.
What was it last year? They had the suicide scam.
Hollywood Reporter is saying that he's dead. CBS LA is breaking story. He's dead. KCALS confirms that Charles Manson has died.
It might just be breaking. Yep.
It's just breaking
That's
now.
really, really weird. Yeah.
TMZ got the story right.
They do it most of the time. They do. When it comes to the celebrity deaths and stuff, they usually are pretty accurate. They don't usually release anything until they're pretty damn sure.
Yeah.
So
here it is.
So Jason, here comes the questions. The next live ITC day, you're gonna try to reach out to him.
I don't know about that. Oh God!
Come on, get the hollow box.
Oh yeah, great. Yeah, there we go. There's a nice. People have said to me we should have a seance tonight. It's like, why the hell did they think I have any?
They're calling you. They're calling you.
I mean, look, I'm getting messages right now from people. Justin says Charles Manson is dead. What are you telling me for? What do I care? What do I like? Is a fucking fan? Pardon my French.
No, that's right. Yeah.
What do I give a rat's rear end about him? I wasn't a fan, a follower. What do I look like? You know? And people go, Sharon must be happy. It's like, I don't know. I'm sure I would be happy if I was in her shoes, but I'm not happy about somebody dying. I mean, God, you know, it's the association that people say. It's like you're exploiting Sharon Tate. It's like if you've watched those shows, you might be realizing that that's a small percentage of the real story about the total experience here in the house.
That's just
But that's
one
not-
little part of it. It's the most
That
sensational.
morbid curiosity
Yeah.
that people get.
Mhm.
And the Manson murders have, that's left a scar on the public for a long time and a fascination. And so, yeah, people always are attracted to the darkest side of a story. And that's why they latch onto it, David. I mean, I know there's more to your story. I know there's more going on there than just with that. That's just a small part of it.
Yeah.
But to people that becomes the most interesting part sometimes, and it probably isn't the most interesting part.
Oh no. People say, "Hey, have you seen Sharon?" It's like, no, I never seen Sharon's spirit ever. I heard her voice. We've heard her, recorded her now and then, but no. And the only spirit I've ever seen, apparition, full body, was Jay Sebring 13 years ago in 2004 in July. So I mean,
Well, I do have another question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Have you ever had like any negative experiences with the Native Americans that are there? Have they ever shown any type of disgruntledness in regards to that? I know you said that they had said that they were happy you were there. Do you offer like a peace offering to them or something?
I'll tell you this. They were offended by one person and one person only.
No,
that I
God.
can recall in the totality of the entirety of my being here, and that was one person. I don't even have to say his name. This guy, this tool. He's hunted. He's being hunted. Not
I think my
haunted.
radio audience can't see the book. I think they even
Zach
know who you're talking about.
Baggins got totally
Yeah,
plastered up the
that's
rear end
douchebagging.
by the spirits here. I'll be honest with you. And here's the thing. Considering that the story goes as this, Lisa, back to the Lisa Williams story. She came here to the house. She goes back down to the third level. She goes in the earthen wall room, which is just a part of the house where we didn't put a wall to hide the earth behind it. And it's very simple. It's not that big of a deal. And I remember I got pictures of it during construction. It's just basically the exposed hill. She goes in there and she looks up in the left corner and she goes, "Do you know there's a Native American on horseback who's died and died on the earth on this spot of hillside here?" I said, "What do you mean he died?" He goes, "Well, apparently he was walking across what is now the driveway, which was a horse path that led to the end of the driveway, which was a plateau that looked over the canyon." I said, "Okay." And she goes, "The horse lost its footing, either a rattlesnake made it rear up, and it lost its footing, or it basically just misplaced a hoof step, and he fell down the side of the hill with him on top. And the horse and the rider both died on the spot. Basically, they both broke. They broke each other. Both of them had their necks broken, and they died. And she says that his remains, that they stopped on it next to a tree. And if you look up on the hill under the house there is a tree stump of the tree stump's probably about 1.5 feet in diameter. So it could have been a couple hundred years old easily. And we had cut it down when we started building the house. And she goes, "Well, his remains and the horse's remains were left there and were interred." And we're talking about 70 feet down the slope from the street, which was the horse path. And she goes that nobody saw him. Basically, he was covered through the years with sediment and earth and mudslides, whatever. I tell this to Zach Baggins. He's the first one I've ever mentioned this to publicly. Because for the past 10 years before that, people had come in and I had said to them nothing. They would go in there and they'd say, "Oh my God, I feel the presence of a Native American and his horse." And I'm like, and I'm talking about, Chris Fleming, what's his face? James Von Prague, Marianne Winkowski, that's the real life ghost whisperer. What's her name? Oh God, Jackie Barrett from America's Psychic Challenge.
We've had her on.
And countless other psychics that have been in the house. And I'd keep my mouth zippered shut and let them tell me, and I go, "That's number 100. That's number 101. And it was like, holy hell in a handbasket. This is crazy. Because I don't suspect that they're all in a small little circle of friends, and they're each one's telling each other the story about my house. And it's not going around like wildfire. So finally I get on Baggins' show and I explain to him what happened, and he goes off and starts making up a story about David's house is built on native ceremonial burial ground, and that's not a good thing. And I'm like, Did I ever say that? I never did. Just BS from the BS master.
So he made a mountain out of a molehill, like usual.
And beyond a mountain out of a molehill, it's one thing to take what he's taken is the context of the story, and he's bastardized it and twisted it around in pretzel logic fashion and made it something that it never was ever stated to be. And more proof of what he's done in that show and evidence of this and supporting my claim that he's an ass and a liar is when Dre Fordham comes on and she's talking to him in the car and he's talking to her and she says, I was at David's house and a week later I'm at the supermarket in the middle of the grocery aisle. And all of a sudden I feel my soul being pulled out of my body. Forward to the next scene. Barry and Zach are talking, and Zach's now relaying Dre Fordham's story to Barry. And Zach says, and I quote, Dre Fordham was at David's house, and the following day, red line, following day, she's at the supermarket, and she has this terrible experience. Do you think, Dr. Taft, that this is residual from her visit to David's house? You play it back and you listen to her. She goes, about a week after I'm at David's house. And what he's done is he's knocked off 6 days because it doesn't sound right in the first place. A week after you're at David's, you're blaming David for this incident? Gee, honey, maybe you stretch him a little far and wide. But Zach has to push them together to make it feel like it's the following day for dramatic purposes.
Welcome to Paranormal TV.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so much of that going on. Well, thank you for calling in, Chandra.
Oh, no, thank you.
All right. You have a great
Thank you.
Thanksgiving.
You too.
Yes.
Bye.
They do this. You hear about this in all the, about all the different TV shows. Zach Bagans isn't the most, isn't the only one guilty, maybe the most guilty of it. But, everything's a demon with him half the time, too. So it's just, that's why it's hard for me to even watch that kind of show. I haven't watched it in years.
I haven't watched it in years, and I don't. And he claimed that I was possessed, and I wanted to read a little something from his book. But he goes off and he makes these spurious comments. He goes, the whole time we're looking for spirits in nooks and crannies of the place, the spirit may actually be found in a person who lives there. Many spirits just want their physical bodies back after all. Really? Like that can be done with ease. They want to smoke a cigarette, eat a pancake, lay out by the pool, and feel the wind on their face or touch of a loved one. What the living dog hell is that? I mean, you want to talk about manufacturing something that just is as preposterous as dehumanizing of a spirit, but he's projecting what he thinks is going on. It's not only theoretical hogwash, it's poetry. It's majestic assertions of what a human being would want to do, minus the fact that they're no longer human. It's romantic, but it's hardly factual in basis in any way, shape, or form. But he goes on to this one. The David Oman house in California is another prime example of a person, rather than a location itself being haunted. I'm sorry if I start to crack up, but it almost makes me go, ooh, that's a good one. Because you remember Zach was here. He started at 9 o'clock. They had to postpone their starting point because all the equipment crapped out on them, and they started at 10. So 10 p.m. on Thursday night they started. They didn't finish in 6 hours. They finished in half the time. In 3 hours they ran out of here. And I said, it's 1 o'clock. We have enough evidence. I said, but you have 3 hours left of your investigation. Yeah, we're out of here. We're done. And never came back. Like I said, so he goes, David lives in a house that even the most intelligent and respected paranormal experts fear to enter. Barry Taft is a parapsychologist and a PhD who has done more than 4,500 investigations using the most advanced equipment. Yet he says that the David Oman house is the only place he feared to set foot in again after investigating it once. Now here's where it gets funny. He makes the statement that he's feared to invest. All right, so he's made the statement Yet he says that the David Oman house is the only place he feared to set foot in again after investigating it once. Okay. Dr. Tav claims that the house has almost killed him and that he nearly every time he goes there, more than 20 visits so far, he winds up in the hospital. So I had to ask, how could someone live there and not be affected? Well, let's tear this little commentary, what he's just written there apart. He says in the first line, after the first experience, it nearly killed him. And he says, he quote, the only place he feared to set foot in again after investigating it once. But he goes back 20 some odd times. How much fear could you possibly have if you're going to a highly radioactive, what is it called, a nuclear, plant that's highly radioactive like Fukushima? Yeah, you go back 20 fucking times.
Yeah,
and each time you're going to the fucking hospital. You're going to tell me that whole little sentence, that little half a paragraph makes no sense if you read it and you take it for what it's worth. And you take it as truth and fact. The first sentence he wrote the first time whether is enough. But he's gone back 20 some odd times. 20 times further. And each time he feels like he has to go to the hospital. I call BS on every single one of those statements because it's unfactually unfounded and bullshit what he said there.
I mean, did Barry Taft go to the hospital after he was at your house?
What happened was Barry came here the first time in 2005 with my publicist, who was a friend of Barry's, and Barry said, oh, the place has got, let me bring my equipment in. So he comes back with his equipment the following day. He didn't have any problems. He says it feels there's energy here. He reported readings of 2,000 milligauss positive to 2,000 milligauss negative and said it was amazing.
That's kind of extraordinary, actually.
That's extraordinary. But again, he didn't go to the hospital. He never went to the hospital. I know this for a fact because my friend Jeff Mandel, who was friends with Barry back in the day, used to drive Barry because Barry's sports car was broken down all the frickin' time. So Jeff would drive Barry with Jeff's girlfriend, Kashmir, and then they would drop Barry off back at his home. And I spoke to Jeff a couple of weeks ago. I said, I read him this thing. And Jeff said, he goes, I was driving Barry up here all the time with Kashmir and taking him home to his house. I don't recall ever taking him, not even one time, to the hospital about your house. So it's kind of funny what this says about you and your house in so many words. It's like, when really, he goes, yeah, that's pretty stupid. He goes, yeah, none of that's true. And for him to say that, it's absurd. And he goes, when I met the owner, David Oman, I knew right away that something wasn't right with him. I couldn't tell if it was personal, mental, or the house, but it didn't take long for something powerful and dark to affect me and my crew. I'm sorry. You talk about a... I can't even
You're not the first. I've had Keith Linder on here, who had the Demon House of Seattle named by Zach Baggins, and he got the same kind of rub, from them.
There's been a few.
Listen. It seemed to control David Oman and was trying to gain control of us too. The question was, what was it? The spirit at Fox Hollow Farm were easy to identify because of the murders that had been committed there, but the David Oman house was different. As far as we knew, no deaths had occurred on the premises. The house was in close proximity to the mansion where Sharon Tate and her friends were murdered by members of the Charles Manson cult. But that was all we knew of. And those murders had occurred 200 yards away from his house, that no longer existed there. Oman was quick to tell us that he feels he's being affected by Tate's spirit. But Dr. Taft felt that something more was going on, and I agreed. Dr. Taft described the energy of the house. Quote, my instruments, geomagnetometer, natural tri-field meter, air ion counter, etc., indicated bizarre and totally unprecedented magnetic field amplitudes and polarities throughout the entire house, combined with an ambient electromagnetic background anywhere from 20 to 100 times normal. The house was a Compass needle's worst nightmare. In fact, there were several locations in David's home where compass needles would spin wildly as if in a quadrupole, which does not occur in nature. And other occasions, on other occasions, almost everything in the house seems emitting a very strong magnetic field, including glass, wood, plastic, and leather, none of which are ferromagnetic or paramagnetic. While on the stairwell, disembodied voices could be heard, but were not always recordable. At times it sounded like someone loudly was snoring or with severe asthma. At other times it was like very muffled conversations were occurring. If I stood in the stairwell too long, I became dizzy and nauseous. Now, not one single comment that's in that little paragraph that Dr. Tapp is quoted on. Not one single statement there is in support of what Zach's assertion is, and doesn't back him up in any way. It's like, David's making the electromagnetic fields in the house. This is all the scientific facts that verify that there's something strange occurring here. That a human being such as this one could not be manifesting and manufacturing. So the fact that Zaki goes off and makes this claim and then uses this comment and statement to support his assertions. Not
he was
under
only there,
goddamn life.
3
He
hours?
said nothing about me. He said nothing about my being, my person. He's talking about the house and the electromagnetic field that's here. What the hell Bozo the Clown's talking about, and this is supporting his comment. He doesn't know sentence structure. He doesn't know the gosh darn first thing about repetition of the same thing, saying the person, David Oman's house. In common, basic, freaking creative writing, the first thing the teacher says is, do not overuse a name of the person and repeat it over and over again. You will bore your reader to death. Find other ways to refer to that person in that location than saying the same thing over and over again. You're going to kill them. And when you make a statement and you're going to use something to back it up, like somebody's quote, make sure that it supports what you are trying to assert. If it doesn't, don't put it in. It's the stupidest thing. It makes you look like a dork.
He copy and pasted his book together, probably.
Somebody doesn't know how to write, because this is crap. Even more amazing is that the David Oman house allegedly sits on Native American burial grounds. Never a good idea. As I said earlier, where did this come from, Mr. Baggins? Did I say that? Did you do research? Oh, that's right. You took what I said when I said the Tongva tribe with the Native Americans in the area, throughout Los Angeles County pretty much and further, and you said they're the Tonga tribe. And the Tonga tribe? The Tonga tribe is in the South Pacific near gosh darn Maori, the islands near Australia. Not too bright on his educational skills. But he goes on, Benedict Canyon is said to have been a sacred burial for native tribes. But there's no way to know sure whether this is true. I'm doing research for a book about my house and the history of the area. I have never found any comments in all of the histories that I've researched and done research about this area saying that Benedict Canyon was Native American. What the? Where the? How the? And then he comes up with a comment and goes, none of this can be proven. Of course not, because your comment's a lie and there's no proof to back it up. And I don't know where you came up with it from, but that's not true. And there's no way to prove whether or not that's true because it's a lie and it's not true. And you putting it in your book is even more spurious. It's
paranormal Hollywood, man.
It's just
we
one
see it all
lie
the
on
time.
top of another. It's the stack of lies till you can't breathe anymore. And it's like, I'm writing a book now, as I said and mentioned.
Right, I was going to mention it.
What I found is that the Tongva tribe covered LA County all the way to the ocean practically, and all the way out to San Bernardino County, to the edges thereof, and all the way to the Orange County area. There was one tribe, the tribe of the Tongva tribe. There were many of them here, but they were in the area. They weren't the Tongva, the Cherokee, the Comanche. When you talk about tribes, you're talking about distinct, different groups of Native American indigenous peoples. And listen to this. There were no historians, no record keepers, and no technologies to record their lives. No, he's wrong again. There were people here in 1842, and the Spaniards, the Mexicans that lived here, and the women that lived down 2 miles from here. There are reports of the gosh darn battle between the Native Americans and trying to steal her cows, and her sheep, and a couple of her horses. And it's recorded, and I've got it on the books. So he doesn't know what he's talking about because he's too lazy to do the work, to do the research that is required in being an educated human being. When you speak educated wise, it's not possible.
Or to be an actual paranormal investigator is what I've always said of him. He's an adrenaline junkie, and he goes in there to, yeah, oh yeah. I mean, the Ed Hardy shirt says it all, but
yeah. Oh no. Here's what it goes. It goes. But we do know that the natives fought, sacrificed animals, and buried their dead in this area. Where the hell's he coming up with this bullshit? They did not sacrifice the gosh darn. They weren't sitting there practicing sacrificial, types of things. The Tonga tribe wasn't into sacrificial, and most of the tribes weren't. You're talking about the Aztecs. They sometimes did rituals.
There was a story just this year. What was it? He did piss off the Native American tribe. I can't remember. It's not coming back to me at the moment.
Yeah, right. I heard that. I said, why am I not surprised?
Right.
I would have been the first one saying, look, the Native American here crapped on his gosh darn head when he was here, and he was sick for 3 days and 3 nights. Well, Aaron, Nick, and Zach were all sick for 3 days and 3 nights after they visited here because of his insulting behavior. But what's further is he goes on, they had no crystal ball. They couldn't have foreseen that one day, one of the largest cities in the world, one day would overtake their sacred land with tractors, homes, technologies, parties, and even murders. What's funny is in my book, I found a gosh darn piece of information that was written by a Native American, Chief Seattle, his name was, from the 1800s. And I've got to read you this little thing that the chief wrote. Let me just find this, David's book.
While he's looking that up, Jason, I just wanted to remind you that we're getting past the 10 o'clock mark.
Oh, we can go.
12 o'clock,
I'm
right?
alive. I'm not dying anytime soon. Here, let me read you what Chief Seattle wrote. Here's what Chief Seattle wrote in 1854. Quote, and when the last red men shall have perished, and the memory of my tribe shall have become a myth among the white men, these shores will swarm with the invisible dead of my tribe. And when your children and your children's children think themselves alone in the field, the store, the shop, upon the highway, or in the silence of the pathless woods, they will not be alone. At night, when the streets of your cities and villages are silent, and you think then deserted, they will throng with the returning hosts that once filled them and still love this beautiful land. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
When I read that, it just it strikes a chord and it hits them, just really.
They knew what they were getting, what was happening.
They knew it. They saw, as little as this peon professes to know shit, he knows nothing. He's an insult. It's an insult to the Native Americans as he disrespected them here. He's an insult to the Native Americans across the country as he disrespected them in South Dakota.
Oh yeah, and his time's coming, man. People are seeing it and getting sick of it in paranormal Hollywood, and just with the Annabelle thing just recently.
Another one. Yeah.
He's just, people are getting sick of it. They're sick of seeing these jockey, these. I always call them the paranormal jocks. Like they're out. Oh, where's the ghost? Show yourself to me. They go after it in such a aggressive, macho. I got to show I'm strong and tough and I can take on a ghost. It's just ridiculous. People are over it, and you see it when their shows decline and people don't want to watch it anymore because they just call it shenanigans.
I call him a paraceleb. Because let's be honest here, and he's one of many, and I'll be honest with you. I've met most of the people that are the professional, quote unquote, paranormal celebrities. I've met Jason Gates. I've invited him here before. I've invited, well, Jason's been here. I've invited Josh Gates. Wait a second. Jason's the one from, again, I keep on getting Jason and Josh.
Yeah,
Jason
no,
was from
Josh
High
Gates.
Collector, and Josh has got
Gotcha.
the one that's the Factor Fate. Yeah, Jason's been here. Dana Workman's been here. I've invited Jack Osborne here. I've in fact invited
Destination Unknown. That's Josh Gates. Destination
yes,
Unknown.
Josh. Yes, just Destination Unknown. Right. Yes, Josh has been here. Jason, please, Destination Unknown. No. Josh has not been here. Jason's been here. I've invited Chip Coffey and other people, and Lloyd Arbach. I've invited here because Barry told Lloyd years ago about the house, and I figured Lloyd lives up in Northern California. Lloyd will show up sometime. Not at all. And I kind of like question that. It's like, if you know the place is so wildly haunted and you're so much so intrigued by it, why wouldn't you be as adamant as Lisa Williams was and look me up and find me and come to the house and ask to see the house yourself? Not the case.
I know if I was in your area, I'd be knocking on your door, like, "Hi, can I take a look?"
I considered the Halloween show that you were having, but we couldn't get out there. Weren't you having some sort of a Halloween event at the house?
We had an investigation around 3 weeks before Halloween. And
Yeah.
then the show here with Jimmy Church live. He did the whole show here for like 3 hours, which was crazy.
Wow.
Now, when's your book? Because we do have to get going here. But when's your book going to be released? Do you have a date on that yet?
I have no date. I'm still in the throngs of actually going through the past 15 years, and I'm literally at the beginning point of my moving in, and it's like scratching my head. It's like, oh, that's right, that happened. It's like, oh my God. You got to remember, and people are like, why didn't you say that the last year? And I was like, do you have any idea how many incidents have taken place here?
Right.
Forget to me, but in total, between the people that have been and other people in the TV shows, there's thousands of incidences that have taken place here. And I'm not like, oh yeah, that one's on top 10 list. It's like, oh, I forgot that. It's like, it's hard to, but going in the book direction, it was like, wow, there's a lot of things that have got to go. So the book's going to be thick. Not many pictures because the color pictures work better than black and white, and I'm not going to fork out a ton of money to make put slides in there. But the point is it'll be a book that's basically going to straighten out all the stories that people have heard from the TV shows and the radio shows, and basically say, once and for all, this is the story. This is the authorized accounts from me, only me, without somebody else saying, well, it's going to take this, we're going to take this, we're going to make this into one. It's like, that incident took place 6 months before this incident. You can't push them together and make it seem like they took place one on top of the other. People will believe that. And it's like the stuff in my ghost story or Paranormal Witness. It appears as though it happened in 1 week. It's like,
that's what I hate about those shows. That's what I hate about those shows. You can tell when you watch them, even if you don't know what the story is, you can tell it's not right. And Paranormal Witness, I mean, God, they just, sometimes they even have some of the stories, they just have actors playing actors on some of those shows too. It's you're not even, they're not telling you the story straight. And doing enough of these shows, interviewing people, I know they're not. So,
well, in Paranormal Witness, it was funny because on my episode, this was the only episode that they had ever used actual, real investigative footage on their show because they didn't want it. It's like, well, they said they had to with Kashmir and the chair and the whole thing. And what's interesting is the candle. There was me, Kashmir, Jeff, and Al McCary, and the candle did this. It went like a 90-degree angle, it bent, and then there was a time where the three candles were in place, and the middle candle, Alan says, give us a sign you're here. And the middle candle flame rose up tall, and then did one of these. Incrementally went down till finally it went out. And I was like, and I looked at the left and the right candle on the other side and going, okay, that was it. And I think it was one of the best episodes, except, as I said, they refused to use this house. They said, look, you're going to shoot it in Canada, huh? Where are you going to find a house that has this house? So instead you have the cutaways to their reenactment. Here's the ground floor, here's the second and third floor. And it's like, doesn't look like my house. I said, use this house. Use me as an actor for the guys to play myself. Get the other actors to play the other people. And sure enough, the actors that plays Jeff, the actress that plays Alma, the actress that plays Kashmir, all look very close to. Then you got the guy that plays me. He looks like a stockbroker with a receding hairline, and I'm like, you got everybody else like with the person that freaking counts. Got to look like that. That's not even and then, like I said, his actions. It's like going. I'm like, oh God, it's not. And people are going to get the wrong idea. It's like your house is built on a flat pad. It's like, and then they cut away to the house on the hillside. It's like one. Oh my God, I could have produced it. That's why I said I want to write my book, set the record straight, and then you do a 3 1-hour special, basically taking the book and making the book into the special because it goes back to the Tongva tribe. It explains what took place on August 9th, 1769, 200 years to the day that Sharon was killed earlier when the Spaniards and the Native American Tongva tribe actually made contact on that date. And it's recorded in the history book or in the diary of one of the what was it? I think it was the diary of the what do you call it? Not the monk. I guess it was the monk that was with them on the journey from Mexico City up into Southern California. And he wrote it down. It goes August 9th, 1769. I'm going, holy hell, 200 years to the day of Sharon's murder?
That is weird. That is weird. You got to admit, that is weird.
365 days on the calendar, and lo and behold, boom! That's the day that they was, as I said, it's the day that the Native Americans basically it was the beginning of the end for them.
Right.
Seriously, once that happened, it was from that day on. The more Spaniards came in, and then the colonization of Southern California, and then all of the pueblos being built, and of course, you have the monasteries and the I forget what they call them again. The different, God, what do you call them? I forgot what they call them. God, I live in Southern California. I forgot the name of the gosh darn thing. The churches and stuff.
Missionaries?
The missions. When they built those missions, they didn't use their own laborers to build them. Like, they used conscript Indian labor forces to build.
Oh, yeah.
And all of those guys all started dying like flies because they didn't have an immune system developed against smallpox and measles from the new world, from the old world to the new world.
Yeah.
So they started dropping dead. And then they got conscription. If you're not going to go become a Christian, we're going to kill you slowly and painfully and serve you up as an example so that the others will see you're dying. It's fruitless. You can either die or you're going to conscript and turn to Christianity and become a good Christian. And that's what happened. So
yeah, that's the sad history.
It's fascinating. The whole area, like I said, to find out that there were Native Americans and everything that Lisa Williams had said before I did any of this research bore fruit. And the ideas, like this whole canyon was littered with Native Americans because the Spaniards, or later on the Mexicans, loved the flatlands. So this whole Benedict Canyon was all walnut groves and other orchards that were there. So the Native Americans were forced up into the hills to live. So they used to come down and have raiding parties. Would go and raid her ranchero down there, and livestock was stolen all the time. So it's just fascinating, the history. And I figured, nobody else is going to do it right except for me. And the only person to write the story and then produce the story into the special is me. And I think it'd be interesting. And from what I've heard, people have read the first 40 pages of the book said, wow, that we haven't even gotten to me moving in. And they're going, this is riveting. This is great. I love this. This is from your perspective. It's not full of dispersions or grandiose things. Oh, the ghosts were attacking me, and oh my God. And to that comment of the one that said that the ghosts were trying to kill them. Look, I'm going to be back to my statement about ghosts and killing people. You had Charlie Manson, who orchestrated all those murders through the years. He's been rotting in jail for 49 years. You think that maybe a ghost or two or a few of the victims could get together and pulverize his ass while he's spending 22 or 23 hours a day in his concrete confines for those 48 years till today.
That, or they just know that's the best punishment for him.
Like I said, the ghost is trying to kill him.
Maybe they don't want him on their side.
Right.
Well, I'm just saying in general. My point is that people want to be saying, "Go ghost want to hurt me." It's like, why wouldn't a ghost want to take revenge out on the son of a bitch murderer that put him in the grave? And what if the murderer escaped? Why wouldn't it be like with Ghost, where Patrick Swayze's spirit came and charged up on the kid, and, threw him to the shadow people, which is another difference. Just because you see a spirit and it's appearing as a shadow doesn't mean that it's a demon. Stop the demonics. It's like, oh, he's a demon. It's like, no, I think that the spirit just couldn't expend that much energy to manifest as a full body apparition, so it used less just to be a shadow spirit, a shadow figure that you saw in the corner of your eye. It's not good or bad. It's just a spirit. Stop taking religiosity. Right, don't stop taking religiosity and throwing it into spiritualism, because it's not the same.
Well, that's a whole other subject. I'd love to have you back on to talk more about this too. We do have to end the show. It goes by so quick. I know.
That sucks.
I know.
By the way, folks, here's some information for you.
That's
folks.
just going to ask you. So yeah,
Well,
youtube.com/ David Oman. That's his YouTube channel. Then Instagram, the Oman House, and Twitter, _Oman1. So check them out there. www.theomanhouse.com.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure being on your show. Have me on any time. I really truthfully enjoyed your show more than most other shows that I've been on. No offense to them, it's that we have video, which makes it a little more easy to say, this guy, this
when you're pointing at it, yes.
You know what? So,
this was good times. We'll definitely have to do it again because there's a lot to talk about.
Well, once I get the book wrapped up, like I said, I'll be happy to come on and plug away on that.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if I can just find the motivation and the discipline to sit down and just
it's so hard.
break my brain. And it's like going back 15 years going, oh, my God, that's right, all that. And there's things that I don't remember just because things have happened that have pushed the memories to the bottom of the heap. So it's like, wow. But it's
just
cathartic.
set little goals for yourself. Just tell yourself you're going to sit right 5 minutes. Right, you might end up writing more. You might have to stop at 5 minutes. Next time, you might do some more. And before you know it, it's all going to be done, and you're going to be so happy.
Oh, I can't wait.
I have no advice. I've got like 5 dead novel attempts. So good luck,
Jason.
Good luck.
You too. I am going to get you to write a book. Dang it.
One of these
if
days.
I goddamn do it, Jason, you're going to do it too.
One of these days.
Here's my motivation. If I have to do it, you're going to follow in my footsteps and put one of them down. And you go,
yes.
If the Crayola boy here
I knew you were going to do that.
I know you can do it, and I can do it. We both can do it 1,000 times better than this. Turd. Look at that. Look at this. How vainglorious. Oh, my God.
Well, thank you, David. We
It's
definitely
my
got it.
pleasure. Fly out here. Come out, hang out, and check it out for yourself.
One of these days, yes, I definitely got to go out to California, and your house would definitely be at the top of my list to go check out, for sure, definitely. All right, guys, next week, same bad time, same bad channel, we're going to have Matt Benton on again. We're going to be talking about his paranormal, Man versus the Paranormal documentary he's been working on, of course. We've had him on before, talking about spirit boxes and all that kind of stuff. So Matt will be back on next Sunday, 10 p.m. to midnight Central Time, 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern. All right, guys, don't forget to check us out on YouTube, Paranormal Soup. That's where our archives are. Check us out on Facebook, Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup Facebook page. You can watch us live there and check us out on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a happy Thanksgiving. See you next Sunday.